студент Сколковского института науки и технологий, и он нам интересен с этой точки зрения, но прежде всего он нам интересен с той точки зрения, что он является ведущим ученым в области вопросов математики, механики, связанных с космическими полетами. И профессор Crawley сегодня прочитает лекцию, которая называется «Пилотируемая космонавтика в США. Прошлое, настоящее и будущее». Я два слова скажу о биографии профессора Crawley. Профессор Crawley закончил Массачусетский технологический институт в 1981 году. И его исследования, ранние исследования, были сконцентрированы в области динамики конструкции аэроупругости. Он много работал в области математики и механики, связанных с космическими полетами. С 2003 по 2006 год он занимал позицию исполнительного директора совместного института Кембридж-MIT. Это вот, совместный институт того же типа, как создается Сколковский сейчас институт, тоже совместный между российскими партнерами и MIT. С 1996 по 2003 год доктор Crawley занимал позицию декана факультета аэронавтики и астронавтики в MIT и провел большую работу по реорганизации этого факультета. Значит, доктору Crawley были присуждены многочисленные награды в сфере образования. Он был избран действительным членом научного общества Маквикера в MIT, участвовал в создании Международного космического университета в Страсбурге, является директором основания программы дизайна и управления системами. И, в общем, если перечислять список всех заслуг, вот число тех, например, журналов, в которых он состоит членом этой коллегии, то это будет очень долгий перечень. Профессор Crawley владеет русским языком, но сегодняшнюю лекцию он все-таки прочитает на английском языке. Те, кому нужен перевод, вы можете взять наушники, там они находятся у входа в этот зал, будет обеспечен синхронный перевод. Виктор Анатольевич Садовничий до нашей лекции он встречался с профессором Crawley. Мы договорились о тесном сотрудничестве между Московским университетом и создаваемым Сколковским институтом науки и технологий. К сожалению, Виктор Анатольевич хотел участвовать в этой встрече, но, к сожалению, его сейчас срочно вызвали в связи с подготовкой одного высокого визита в Академию наук, и он не смог быть. Но я могу сказать, что по той беседе, которая состоялась, мы действительно в дальнейшем будем сотрудничать с Сколковским институтом науки и технологий. И я думаю, что не ошибусь, если скажу, что профессор Crawley будет частым гостем Московского университета. А сейчас я хотел бы пригласить профессора Crawley прочитать лекцию «Пилотируемая космонавтика в США. Прошлое, настоящее и будущее». Профессор Crawley.
Уважаемые коллеги, профессора, аспиранты, студенты, спасибо сегодня за приглашение здесь в МГУ. Я как проректор сказал, я выступаю сегодня о космических исследованиях в космосе. The report I will give today is the result of a commission of President Obama in 2009, the year after his election, when he sought to set a new direction for the U.S. space policy, the U.S. plan for the exploration of space. So he invited, as would any president, a commission of scholars and engineers and leaders of the space program to meet over 4 or 5 months and to produce this report, which is commonly in the US called the Augustine Commission Report, because the chairman of this was Norman Augustine, who was the former chief executive officer of Martin Marietta, an American space company. So we thought it was very important to start this discussion with the question of why we explore. Space exploration came to us as a result of the tension between the Soviet Union and the United States, the race in space in the 60s and 70s, when it played an important and somewhat constructive role in international relations. But since that time, governments have sought to explain to themselves and to their people the important role of space exploration, particularly with humans. So we decided to start with these reasons why we explore. The more tangible, more concrete reasons is, of course, to prepare for further exploration, to provide support and involvement of science, to develop technology both in space and on Earth, and for economic development and the development of industrial capability. But there are also less tangible benefits that it provides the nations that explore in space an appearance, a practice of leadership in international ventures, that it engages the public, and in particular engages the youth in choosing to study science and mathematics in their school years and at university. So we decided that we would create this set of goals, this set of vision for our space program, the US space program, which is that we go into space not just to stay in orbit around the Earth, but to leave the cradle of the Earth and go truly out into space. You may know that American astronauts, Europeans, Japanese, Russian cosmonauts now travel back and forth to the International Space Station. But the International Space Station, when it passes over the region of Moscow, is actually closer than St. Petersburg. That it's actually only a few hundred kilometers away. So although we go into space, we only go the first few hundred kilometers into space. And since 1972, no human being has been more than 500 kilometers away from the surface of the Earth. So we propose to actually go into space, to leave the vicinity of the Earth and begin exploring. So we say we explore to chart a path for human expansion into the solar system. That it's desirable to start to learn how to work and live on planets past the Earth. And that the ultimate destination of this path should be Mars. Because Mars both has the closest conditions to Earth to live in and work in. It has resources for fuels and oxygen. And it's scientifically the most interesting of the planets because it had the best probability of the beginning of development of life outside of the Earth in our solar system. And that this ultimate goal should actually be to stay on Mars and to work and live on Mars. But this is a plan of 50 or 100 years, so that it's the time to start to begin this program. So I should mention that in the directive to this commission from the American President, Obama, we were specifically told not to consider international ventures. That was a matter of international policy that the White House would work on. But we tried to create in this policy the framework which would strongly indicate that this was not really a policy of the US government, that this was a policy of the US government, but an opportunity in which to build true partnerships with all of the nations that explore space. So we created a set of conditions, of criteria, requirements, against which we would judge our programs, our proposals. So you can see them here, that we should prepare for exploration, that we should develop technology, that we should develop scientific knowledge, expand human civilization, engage the government, expand the economy, and be the basis of global partnerships. These are not charts that I prepared for today. This is actually a chart that I prepared 3 years ago for presentation in the White House. So these are the very words that we used. And the section in the middle indicates that these goals are long-term goals of American space policy from the very beginning of NASA in 1957 to the current time. We started with these goals because we didn't want to propose a program that was just good for engineering, or just good for science, or just good for industry, but to propose a program that all Americans and all American political parties could support, because this has to be a long-term, stable program. Likewise, we create evaluation measures about cost, about programmatic risk, about safety, about the impact on the workforce, the workers, about the sustainability over 20 or 30 years of this program. That these two are important attributes in order to have a long-term space program. So we decided to frame the discussion of the space policy into 5, really 6 or 7 questions. And we proposed alternatives to each of these questions. And I'll speak today about 2 or 3 of them and just very briefly mention the others. The first question was, what is the plan for the US space shuttle? And we confirmed that the space shuttle program had largely achieved its goals and should be ended. There are actually many in the United States and the world who think the entire US space program was ended, but it was in fact just the shuttle program. The shuttle was a great vision and provided great service, but as we now go to explore beyond Earth, we actually need more capability to launch mass into space. The future of the International Space Station was in doubt. That the plans of the partners for the space station, the US, the Russian Federation, the European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, Japan, only went until 2015. And if there was not a plan to extend the space station beyond 2015, we would already begin turning it off. The space station that we just finished building. So we very strongly asserted, with the support, by the way, of Roscosmos, that we should make an indefinite plan for extending the space station as the basis of further partnership for exploration. Then we discussed in great detail, and I will explain to you today,